MMAWeekly.com, Damon Martin here with DC Daniel Cormier. And Daniel, last time I talked to you was, of course, in Columbus at the Arnold's. It was right before the announcement was made. You have the fight. How long has it felt for you, dealing with the injury, just kind of waiting for this tournament to come to an end?
It felt like forever because, I mean, as I've said time and time again, I'm a guy that likes to stay busy, so I would like to have been fighting. I wish me and Josh would have fought in January. That would have been ideal for me, but it felt like forever. But now that we've got a date, it doesn't feel so long. After when training camp started, it just kind of went fast, as every training camp does, so I'm excited.
When I talked to you back then, obviously the hand is good now, you're in training camp and everything. Was there any tentativeness or worry when you're hitting that, hitting those pads or doing those sparring sessions, because I know a lot of guys when they talk about coming back from knee injuries, planting that first time for a takedown, it's a little, you're a little nervous. How's that going to react? So how is it? Because I know your teammate Mike Kyle, he's had a series of broken hands.
Yeah.
It just happens,
Yeah, it was a little different for me because I'm from the John Smith school of thought. If they tell you you're okay, you better be okay. So when they told me I could hit, I started hitting right away. So it's going good. I'm excited. I was nervous. I didn't want to break my hand because if I would have, it would have been another 2-3 months before I could fight. That's not good for me financially.
Yeah. When you look at this tournament, I'll ask you this just very honestly. When they made the announcement about the new Showtime deal, and they said, well, the heavyweights are going away, but we're going to do the finals of the tournament and one more fight, and there's still a mystery out there who that person could be.
Yeah.
And I know that's not your focus, but did it take anything away from you that there was something special about those Grand Prix cards where you had these great heavyweight fights and they lead into each other? It's like the card coming up at UFC 146. You got all heavyweights. People are really psyched about that. Did it take anything away from you that literally it's just you and Josh left, that's it, everyone else is over here in the UFC, Chad Griggs is fighting everybody, and then you still have one more fight against, we don't even know who?
Yeah. Well, not necessarily. The thing is, it could, but it didn't because Josh is so good. You know that, well, if they're not telling me, okay, you're going over here and fighting someone different, you're still fighting Josh Barnett, well, he's so good that you have to be solely focused on him. So it didn't really take anything from me because if I win this fight, I beat a guy that was a UFC champion, was ranked #1 in the world at one point, ranked #2 in the world at one point. It's such a huge accomplishment to win that fight that it really didn't take anything away from me. Listen, we will get our chances to fight in the octagon. It's obvious, so we can wait. That time will come.
When you look at Josh, I guess the biggest disparity in this fight is he does have a lot more experience. There's no secret in that. But I look at you, and I remember talking to your teammate John Fitch like 4 years ago, and he's like, we got this kid, AKA named Cain Velasquez. This guy's going to be a champion. Watch out. There's a time when he came to the UFC, I think he had like 4 fights.
Yeah.
Something crazy like that. And then to see what he did to become heavyweight champion, you've kind of made the same progression. You came here and said there's this Olympian named Daniel Cormier coming to MMA. I interviewed you before your first fight, and everyone was talking about it. Do you see this fast rise? While he does have the experience factor, it seems like you've picked up on this so fast that there's really not that disparity between, between where Josh is at and where you're at.
Well, I told this to Bob the other day. I go, if I had to fight Josh last year, I would have been so nervous because I'm like, man, I'm not ready. But now I'm ready. Your career progresses, and you can't really control that. The only way you control it is by winning fights, and it's obvious what's going to happen. You win, you keep going higher and higher, and then you come to terms with the fact that you're going to be standing across the cage with some guys that you looked up to not very long ago, and I can deal with that. I'm good up here. I'm pretty good up here, and like I said, I've wrestled at the highest levels for so long, so. Not only have I had 9 fights, I've had thousands and thousands of wrestling matches, which are in essence fights.
Yeah. With that said, the biggest aspect of this fight, we talk about wrestler versus wrestler. He's a wrestler, you're a wrestler. But I guess the one question a lot of people have, myself included, is the ground game as far as his submissions go. That's his bread and butter. That's what he does. And he's got a lot of really good submissions from a lot of different positions. I know you had worked with Dave Camarillo. You got a new jiu-jitsu coach now at AKA. How comfortable do you feel, whether it's on top or bottom? I know as a wrestler, they always say, well, you can't be comfortable on the bottom, but I don't necessarily subscribe to that idea thought. But how comfortable do you feel the fight hits the ground dealing with the submissions, that progression you've made?
I feel good. I'm grappling with some of the best guys in the world, I love Dave. Dave is a great guy. But when we had Dave, it was Dave and John Fitch. Now we have Leandro Vera, but then not only do we have Leandro, we have his brother who's a 10-time world champion in for a month here and there. And Leandro's a world champion, and his other brother's a world champion. And so we're getting all these other high-level guys. Leandro's brought in a heavyweight that's a jiu-jitsu world champion. He's a big guy. I mean, we're getting to grapple with so many good guys that I have no choice but to feel confident. Not only are those guys, but Luke Rockhold. I grapple Fitch. I grapple Ron Kessler, who are little guys, but great jiu-jitsu players. So I've seen every position. I mean, I feel fine wherever this fight goes.
Last question. You know, the Olympics is a whole other beast. Winning a gold medal, I mean, there's something pride in that I know can never be matched, really. But what does it mean to you as an athlete to win a Grand Prix like this? I mean, when it started, you weren't in it. And to come out, and if you can beat Josh Barnett, I mean, not only is he a top 5 heavyweight, but, you know, obviously an established name, and to become that Grand Prix champion when we had names like Fedor, Overeem, Verdum. I mean, what would it mean to you as far as accomplishments to win this tournament?
It would be right up there with any of the biggest things I've ever done in my life. And just because of how special it really is and how much it means to me, not only because all those guys was in it, but because Strikeforce, man, when I first started, they gave me a chance. My very first fight was televised. Showtime, they've been so good to me. It would mean so much to me to actually win this tournament and be the champion of the biggest thing this organization and this network has ever done. So it would rank up there with any of my greatest accomplishments in my life.
Well, DC, best of luck in the fight. Look forward to seeing you in San Jose, and thank you as always for the time.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it.
All right.